Lava is red. Everyone knows that. But this volcano on the island of Java does not bleed red. At night, it bleeds blue. Rivers of electric blue flame, some reaching 5 meters high, pour across the rock and glow in the darkness. For years, almost no one outside Java had ever seen it. This is Kawah Ijen, and the fire is not lava and it is not magic. It is gas, escaping the mountain at over 200 degrees and catching fire the instant it touches the open air. But the fire is only the beginning. Below it lies the most acidic lake on Earth, strong enough to dissolve human skin. And every night, men climb down into the poison to mine it by hand, in what has been called one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. When the sun rises over Kawah Ijen, the blue fire fades, and something else takes its place. At the heart of the crater lies a lake, vast, still, and glowing a brilliant turquoise, like a tropical sea poured into a volcano. It looks serene. It looks inviting. It is one of the most dangerous bodies of water on the planet. This is the largest highly acidic lake in the world, nearly a kilometer across and around 200 meters deep. A crater filled not with water but with acid. Its pH sits below 0.3, more corrosive than battery acid. Lemon juice is near 2, battery acid near 1. This lake is stronger than both. It is a mix of sulfuric and hydrochloric acid, and it would eat through cloth in minutes and through skin on contact. That beautiful turquoise is not a sign of purity. It comes from the acid itself and the metals dissolved in it, a warning painted in the prettiest color imaginable. And the danger does not stay in the crater. Acid leaks from the lake into the river below, the Banyupahit, a name that means bitter water. By the time it reaches the farms downstream, it is still sour enough to scar the soil and the crops that families depend on. The poison of Ijen reaches far beyond its rim. Return to the fire. Where the gas escapes the rock, it burns only in the dark, a cold-looking blue that vanishes completely in daylight. The blue is burning sulfur, the same element that makes a match head hiss, here escaping by the ton and set alight in the open air. For most of history, the world never saw it. The flames are invisible on camera in daylight, and few outsiders came at night. It was night photography, only in recent years, that finally carried the blue fire to the rest of the world. But the fire is not the danger the miners fear most. It is the air around it. The gas that feeds the flame is thick with sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. Breathe it, and it burns the eyes, the throat, the lungs. In enough concentration, it can kill. This is the paradox of Kawah Ijen. The very things that make it beautiful, the burning gas, the acid lake, are the things that make it lethal. And it is exactly here that people come to work. They start in the dead of night. Around 2 in the morning, by the light of headlamps, the miners leave the base camp and climb to the rim, then down into the crater, into the very gas that feeds the flames. Where the gas vents, some of the sulfur cools into liquid, glowing red, before it hardens into slabs of bright yellow. The miners break it apart with iron bars and load the pieces into 2 baskets on a wooden pole. Most work with nothing over the mouth but a wet cloth, because a proper gas mask costs more than they can spare. Then comes the hardest part. Each man lifts 60, 70, sometimes over 90 kilograms onto his shoulders, often more than his own body weight, and carries it up the crater wall and 3 kilometers down the mountain. Many do it in worn sandals or barefoot, often twice before the midday heat makes the climb unbearable. In one documentary, a visitor asks a miner what his load weighs. The man answers, 125 kilograms. For all of this, a miner earns only a few dollars a load, a few cents for every kilogram. It is still better pay than farming, and so the men keep coming. One miner, filmed by National Geographic, was 27 and had already carried sulfur for 10 years. The work leaves a permanent, thickened scar on the shoulder that takes the pole. The deeper cost is inside. Years of sulfur dioxide scar the lungs and bring chronic disease. The gas eats the enamel from the teeth. The weight bends the spine. By the accounts of those who have documented them, the miner's life expectancy barely reaches 50. And still, night after night, they go back down. The sulfur they carry has a name among those who buy it: the Devil's Gold. The organized mine has run since 1968, and almost nothing about it has changed. No machines, no shortcuts, only men, iron bars and baskets, hauling 10 or more tons out of the crater every day. Most of the world's sulfur now comes cleanly as a byproduct of refining oil and gas. Kawah Ijen is one of the last places on Earth where it is still torn out by hand, and the world keeps buying. Sulfur vulcanizes rubber. It goes into fertilizer, matches, medicine. It is even used to bleach the color from raw sugar to make it white. So a modern supply chain is fed by one of the oldest and most brutal forms of labor left anywhere. But the mountain that gives the sulfur has never been safe. The crater the miners work in sits inside a far older giant caldera, the collapsed heart of an ancient volcano. And Kawah Ijen is still alive. Its last major eruption in 1817 lasted more than a month. The crater lake was thrown out of the basin. Floods and mud swept the valleys below, and villages were destroyed. The acid the miners stand beside today is the refilled wound of that eruption. Since 1817, the mountain has not erupted on that scale, but it has never gone quiet. It breathes, and sometimes without warning, it kills. The steady danger is the gas. On a bad night, a cloud of sulfur dioxide can roll across the crater floor with no sound and no warning. A man caught inside it can fall in moments. The record is written in the dead. By most accounts, a single release of gas in 1976 killed 49 sulfur workers at once, though the first reports counted 11. In 1989, another sudden release killed 25 more. The danger did not end with the old disasters. In 2018, a small eruption pushed toxic gas across the crater and sent dozens to hospital. In 2020, a surge on the lake itself drowned a worker. The miners know this history. They know the men it has taken. And every night they climb back down into the same gas, because for most of them the alternative is worse. That is the truth the blue fire hides. It is not a wonder to these men. It has been called one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, and to them, it is simply the work. In recent years, the blue fire made Kawah Ijen famous, and now, in the dark, a second kind of person climbs the mountain. Tourists, guided, masked, cameras ready, hike up to watch the flames and photograph the glowing lake at dawn. Between 2014 and 2017 alone, their numbers tripled. On the same narrow trail, they passed the miners coming the other way. One group carries cameras, the other carries 90 kilograms of sulfur. The same mountain lived in two different worlds. The fame brought its own dangers. In April 2024, a tourist who stepped too close to the rim for a photograph slipped and fell to her death. Since then, the fences and the rules have tightened. The volcano is watched constantly now. When the gas or the tremors rise, the authorities close the crater to tourists and miners alike, and the work stops until it is judged safe. Some of the miners have found another way to live, as guides for the tourists or running small lodgings. A few have set down the baskets for good. And for their children, they want something else entirely. They send them to school, hoping this will be the last generation that has to carry the mountain on its back. Kawah Ijen holds two things in the same place: impossible beauty and quiet violence. A fire that burns the color of the sky, a lake the color of paradise that would dissolve you where you stand, and the men who walk into all of it every night and carry it out one basket at a time. It is a reminder that some of the most breathtaking places on earth are also the most merciless, and that behind a beautiful photograph, there is often a cost, paid by someone whose name we never learn.